Yeah, so any class we define in Java, if we don't provide any constructor, it is going to create this default constructor by itself. Like so far we have created this mobile class and we have given these parameters in this, I mean some of the variables we have defined, some methods we have defined in this. So what is going to happen, as long as the compiler is going to compile this mobile class, it is going to include this thing by default. You don't have to do this. But if you define, I mean constructor can be of multiple types. One is, this is like default constructor where nothing is done. So in this default constructor what we can do is we can set these values. We don't have to use the object and all. So what is happening here? In mobile I have three data types. Two are string, one integer, and I defined this mobile, I mean constructor is defined with the same name what we have named for our class. So our class is name is mobile and we have to define the constructor with the mobile name. It is very similar to the method what we have defined so far. There is no difference. The only difference is mobile cannot return a value. I mean this constructor cannot return a value. That's the only difference between the constructor and the method. So now what is going to happen? Let's see this. So we have defined mobile class, we have these variables defined and then a constructor. So as long as I instantiate this mobile class with the name of this object, what is going to happen? Let me print out. Object dot call, and similarly we can do the others. Receive and I. So we instantiated this mobile class, but we didn't set any values. These data types it has, this class has, we didn't set it. The moment we define this instantiation, it is going to this class, and whenever this class get called, it is going to instantiate or populate, or it will call this constructor. This is the first thing with what it does. And in constructor we have defined make receive is equal to receive, call is equal to call, and I is equal to 10. So we created object here and we are trying to print out the values of those things what we have defined here. So if I run this program, see it is printing call, this is the first line, then receive, and then the value of I. Any doubt in constructor? The constructor is
So
same name as
we
we
have
define the class name. Yes, please go ahead.
so we have to define the values in the constructor itself.
No, definition is here,
Oh,
but
okay.
we are populating those values. We are giving the values to those
Got it.
values. We are assigning.
That's what I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, so like here you have said that receive equal to receive.
Mhm.
So or is this the only place where we can give the values, or is it like any other place?
We can do like we can define some methods. Like we have a method,
Because as you said that
so we
this
can
is
do this
by
here.
default.
I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
As you said that this is by default.
Yeah.
Public
So
mobile, the constructor is
yeah,
by default.
yeah. If we do this, like if we define these things in a this method, what I have to do is, let me show you how.
No, can't we define it below the class mobile, and you have said string call equal to call, and you know directly rather than creating a constructor and again defining it.
Here,
Yeah, there itself.
here, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely we can do that. But
Okay, that was my doubt.
yeah, so I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I gave you like two cases. One is we are very certain that these values are going to be permanent. Whenever somebody is going to create an instance of this class, these values are going to be like this only. Like um in maths, there are few formulas like tan theta is equal to sine theta divided by cos theta, right? So that's like I mean nobody can change that. That's a fixed thing, right? So if we want to define those kind of things, or there are some pi value 22.7 or something like that. Remember that in maths algebra? So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
kind of values we can set here itself. We don't have to do in constructor. But so this is like one constructor, and we can have multiple constructor. And as I said, a constructor has to be named as the same name what we have defined for a class. So let me do that again.
Okay, can you later explain how we have to give dynamic values
Uh, that's what I'm going to
later?
do now. Oh, you don't want
Okay.
to do it right now?
I'm fine because I thought that you're trying to explain something like creating more constructors.
Yeah, the constructor, that's what I was trying to explain why I created the default one. And then I'm going to make the the overloading of that constructor basically. So I'm
Okay.
going to, because the constructor name has to be same as class name. If we define the same thing again, it is going to complain, right? So we cannot have two default constructors. This is a default constructor which is not having any parameter in this method or in this constructor, I would say. But we can define some int x, int y. So see, now I have another constructor with the same name, but this constructor is having these values. So what does it mean? It means, let me remove this string, is a little difficult. Int j, it will be easier to run these things. Let's say okay, and okay. So now what I can do is I can assign these x and y to I and j. So don't worry about this word. I'm going to explain in a minute. So what I'm doing here is, why it is complaining. Oh. So I have a mobile class. I have two data types in this, integer I, integer j. So I and j can hold only integer values. Then I have a default constructor. Then I have a parameterized constructor. So what does parameterized constructor means? It means I can send out while creating an object of this mobile, I can send out these two values from outside, and it is going to instantiate this object, and in this constructor I can do manipulation. I have just assigned these I and j whatever values I have sent from outside. So let's do the initialization of this. uh, 10 comma 20. See, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to instantiate a mobile class with name object. This is object of mobile, and here I am passing these two values. So when I am passing these two values, that means I am trying to instantiate an object of mobile and calling this constructor. So when the mobile object got created, it is going to assign this value x and y to I and j of this class. This is what I have done here. So let's try and run. See, let me maximize this so that you can see the whole screen. Uh, no, that's not a good idea actually. So let's try to understand how this get executed. As long as I pass this two values while creating an instance of mobile, it just reach out to here, and here the first line I have written here is to send out in console that where I am in parameterized constructor. That means this constructor is getting executed, not this one, right? So this is what we are getting here. I am in parameterized constructor. So while creating an instance of this mobile, it reaches to this because I have given two parameter over here. The compiler is very smart. It finds out I have given two integer type of parameter while creating this instance, so it has reached over here. We can create more constructor of the same name, and we can pass different type of parameters, maybe integer, string, float, byte, whatever, and multiple parameters. We have defined two, we can three, four, five, as long as much we want to define the parameters as per the requirement. And that is going to be a separate, like I have defined two. Now let me define public mobile. Again, constructor name should be the same name as we have defined class. So let me in x comma.
Raj,
Yes.
hello.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever the type of constructor may be,
Mm-hmm.
the constructor name should be the same as class name for everything.
Yes. Yes.
How many types you write, the class name should be the same.
Yes. That's correct. So see, I have default constructor, same name mobile. I have two parameter constructor, same name mobile. Now I have defined three parameters with the same name mobile. So, and similarly, we can do the changes in, like, it cannot be all the string, it can be, I mean, it cannot, we should not have all the integer, we can have string as well, or some other variable type, whatever type you want to have. So these are the parameters. So now if I want to create an instance of, let me create mobile object 2 is equal to new mobile, and now I want to construct this mobile object with these three parameters. So let me do this. 50 comma 100 comma, and the third parameter we have defined as a string. So got it, and let's define something in this constructor. So system dot sys come on, I'm going to print value of x and then y and z. Y and G. So so now what is going to happen? Anybody can explain me? Nobody?
I think that's not going to print anything because in the mobile object 2, we haven't specified there. Those are X, Y, and Z. Okay.
So I'm
Okay, I
not
have to
doing
think.
anything here. Let me remove this thing as well. Now let's talk what's going to happen. So anybody can explain me? Amir, you are saying something, right?
Yeah, actually I saw the system dot, I mean the object initialization and everything. So I thought, I don't think it's going to print anything
No, that's wrong. Let me explain again. I have
because
created
we
the
haven't given
object.
the this dot. Mhm.
Yeah, let me explain. So I have created two objects of mobile. First line here, you know what? Let me give you the line numbers as well. Hmm, show print number, show line number. Okay. So we have line numbers over here as well, so that I can make a good reference. So in line 6, mobile, and I have created object. This is my first object, and I am creating with two parameters. So this mobile object get created with the constructor of two parameters. So here this one is line 19. So this is going to create an object and print out. I am in parameterized constructor and assigning a value of, here we are passing x. So x is going to grab the value of 10. This is like first parameter. First parameter over here is 10. So x is going to be assigned 10, and then the second parameter is y, and the second parameter we are passing is 20. So y is going to be assigned 20. So in this constructor, first line is it's going to print something. I am in parameterized constructor. Then it is going to assign this dot I. I mean, forget about this. I is equal to x, and in this mobile class we have I variable. So I is going to be the value of, I is going to be assigned a value of x. What is the value of x here is 10. We are passing from here, right? Similarly, we have j variable in mobile. So j is going to be assigned a value of y, this y, and this y is coming from here is 20. That's it. And it will come out. It will create an object. And then after we are not using that object. So it's going to be like this only. We can print out or we can do some manipulation, but we are not doing. Let's move to the second one.
Right. No, it doesn't get printed, right?
I'm
Because
sorry.
we haven't. It doesn't get printed, even though the values are assigned. It doesn't get printed because it doesn't use system.out.
Yes,
Is
I
that
mean,
correct?
system.out is something we are doing. We are throwing that in a console. So
Okay.
whenever we do this system out, we want to throw some value in console, like here, this is the console. So here I
Oh,
written one line. I am in a parameterized constructor. So I'm trying to send out in console. I am at this line, and whenever the compiler read this line, it is going to send out this value to console. So after creating the object 1, we are not doing any operation on that. We are not doing any system out, we are not sending it any value to console, or we are not doing any operation with the object. We are not handling or manipulating any object. I mean the object we have created here. In the second line, line 7, again I have created an object 2. I just named it different name. So again object 2 is a type of mobile, which is a class name, or we can say object 2 is an instance of mobile, the same thing. And then how we want to initialize this object 2, we are passing three parameters, and we have defined three parameterized constructors. in our class here? So x, y, z. So first parameter over here is 50, so it's going to assign to x. Second one is 100, it is going to be assigned to y. Third is third parameter, any string x, y, z, anything we can write, any string we can pass. So I am passing this string over here. So this is going to be assigned to z. Now inside this constructor, what we are trying to do is we are just trying to send out in console what are the values of these x, y, z here in the class. So what it is going to do is system.out.println, that means go to the console and print this is the string x, some space, and then value of x. Similarly y and then value of y, z and then value of z. So let's run this and see how the console get painted. See, I have created two objects. One is with the two constructor parameters, so we reached here. So while defining an instance, it finds out. Let me do one more thing over here. Mobile object 3 is equal to new mobile, and I'm not sending any parameter to this, and see what is happening. So could anybody explain me what is going to happen? Kim?
Oh, actually, my display just freeze, so I cannot see the process. I think the internet connection is problem. So
Oh, so you cannot see the screen, you're saying?
I can see the screen, but it's not moving at all. So
Oh,
yeah,
you
I
see
tried
anything right
several
now?
times, but like the connection is the problem, I guess.
Oh. Okay, no problem. Amir, you would like to explain?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
So the first thing what it does is that at line 6,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to go to the public mobile,
Mm-hmm.
which is that where the two int x and int y, and in that one there's a system out, so it will print I'm in parameterized constructor,
Mm-hmm.
and then goes to the second one, the line 7,
Mm-hmm.
object 3,
Mm-hmm.
and it executes, which has a line in line 17, it has I'm in default constructor, so the console prints that too, and in object 2 there's like 3 parameters assigned, and it goes to line 28, 29, 30, and those 3 get executed. That's what I feel it does.
Yeah, perfect. You're good, man. You're doing great. That's awesome. Upender, you have any doubt in this?
No, I'm good.
So,
Got it.
so we learned this constructor thing today. Now the next item I'm going to use uh, the this. There is a term called, or um, the Java language terminology this. So what this can do for us, and there is a called super. So I'm going to explain those things to you. So when I define a variable in a class itself, not in a method, so there is a difference, right? So I define I and j over here, and in one of the method, let's say, let me clean this all. I went inside the method and I again define int I, and So I have a same variable name I in a class, and in the same class I have a method called display, and in this method I have defined a same variable name I again and given a value of 0. So if I create an object of mobile, and no matter how we are creating this object, 2 parameters, default parameter or 3 parameter, I want to run that method object2 dot display, right? And I want to see what is the value of I it is going to print. Let me explain again. I have a method display, and this method I have an integer I, which is the same integer I have defined on the mobile. So if I create an object2 over here and try to call this method of this class, what is going to happen? Can anybody explain me? It is going to print the value of I which is in this method, which is 0. But let me define 10 here. And in this same method, I want to let me run this first so that you will know. Clear this and run it. So I have created object 2, and while creating with these 3 parameters, and in this constructor we have written display, print out all the values which we are assigning. So this got object got created and these statements got executed. That's why we are having these 3 lines. Let me comment this out as well so that you won't get confused with anything. So now let's see. When I create object 2, it got created object 2 with the type of mobile, and in object 2 I am trying to call this method. So when I call this method and I put throw out a value of I in console, and here I have defined I is equal to 0, and that's why it is throwing out 0. But at the same time, if I want to display the value of this I, the class variable, how I can display that, because the name of the both variables are same. So that's where this thing comes handy. So this, whenever I call this, that means it belongs to a class level. Now let me run this. See, the value of I is 10. So when I put this behind this, it is going to look for the value of I in class, not in method. It goes one layer top. If I remove this, it is going to print the local value, which is like a method variable. So there are like two terms. One is class variable and the other one is method variable. So whatever variable we define in a class is called class variable, which can be accessed with the this operator. If I don't have anything here, I don't have to use this, because in this method there is no I defined here. It is going to find in the class level, and the value of I is 10 and it is printing. But in a method, if I have int defined in a method as well, there is an ambiguity for the compiler. It is hard for him to decide which one, so it will go for the local one, which is very near to him in the method itself. If I put this over here, that means I'm telling don't put the print the value of method variable, go for the class variable. This stands for class. Clear? Any doubts?
Yeah.
Okay. So with
So we have used object2.display. We have used object2.display. So, but object2 has like 3 parameters, so that doesn't matter.
No, I mean those parameters are to initialize that object2. So we have the
Okay.
object2 having these values if we set these things in a constructor, but we are not doing anything.
Oh, okay.
We are just, where is that constructor? Oh,
Okay, got it.
here. So we are just printing out. We are not doing any operation here. So if you want to do something, assign I is equal to X, Y, J is equal to Y, or print Z, whatever we want to do. So those things get executed. But we are just passing. So that means this object2 is getting created with this constructor. 3 parameters, this one. The execution will come here.
Okay. And shouldn't it give a duplicate value? Because that's what happens, right? If some duplicate variable is initialized or something, then it says that there is a duplication.
No,
But in this case, why doesn't it say that there is a duplication?
no, if I write in the same method, if I write int I, see,
Oh, okay.
so we cannot define the same variable in the same method or in the same class even. If I try to do the same thing over here, it is going to slap me back. You fool, fix it. That's what he's going to
Okay.
tell me, right?
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah. So the constructor and methods you have.
Raj,
Or you want to have practice on it?
hello,
I have heard.
hello, hello,
Whoever is there.
hello, Raj.
Yep.
Yeah, I got one doubt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, constructor first it will run as a default constructor, right?
No, if we don't define any constructor in class, then compiler will create that default constructor for us.
Okay, if we mention the constructor type, then it won't go for the default.
Constructor type, didn't get it. Can you come again?
Means we are using three parameters, three types of constructors, right?
Right.
In the example. Yeah, the constructor which we did not mention any parameters, the first one, is the default constructor.
Yeah, this one is the default one.
You would not, yeah, we did not mention any objects. We did not call the object for the first one. We did not call any constructor there.
No,
Previously,
we are calling here. I just yeah, the object 3. See, I'm not passing any parameter, so that means it's going to
yeah,
call that one.
yeah, without calling that object, it won't run since it's a default constructor.
I'm not getting this.
No, we are calling the object, right? We are mentioning in the main method that which constructor, which type of constructor we have to run. We are
Right,
calling that one.
right.
Yeah, since constructor is a default one,
Hmm.
without mentioning, without calling that in the main method, it won't run. It is not running.
Like you don't want to write this thing, like mobile this thing.
Yeah, without calling this,
I mean, you want to do this thing. Mobile. Let me write here. Right? You don't want to run any constructor. So
yeah,
fine. I mean, you are declaring a object, but you are not instantiating it. So for any instantiation of what is happening? Can you please somebody like the noise mute? Yeah. So this is called declaration. When I say this mobile ABC or uh, name anything object So mobile object is, this is a declaration, but when I say new, this is called initialization. So if we want to use object, we want to do some operation with the object, we have to initialize it. So only declaration is not enough to use that object. So this new operator, this is a Java language keyword new. So this is used to create an object, to instantiate an object. And to do that, we have to do
Yeah, I got it. For example, Raj, can you stop that the 2 parameters and 3 parameters and run that program once?
Sure, let's do that. This, this, right? So forget about this mobile class for now. We are just creating mobile objects. So it went to the default constructor here. This one is the default one.
If you won't call that object, we are having 3 objects there. If you won't call that, which constructor it is going to run?
I'm calling here. You mean I remove this line? You are saying this thing?
Yeah.
If
No, no. What my question is,
Mhm.
no, we are. If you mention the which constructor to call, it will run. If you won't call, if you won't mention the constructor which one to call, it is which constructor it will go. The compiler
Here,
goes to which point?
here we are not mentioning any constructor. We are not giving any parameter. So that is the default one. So that's why it is calling the
Okay.
default one. So
So
Okay.
this is
if
the
we
default.
write object.display
Uh-huh.
in the above line and object.display and we run it, then it um, prints in the console 10 or 0. If it has this, then otherwise
Is
0.
having I value is equal to 0 and I have not put this here, so it is going to print 0.
So it's going, okay, so it's going to print it.
Yeah, because we are calling method here.
Okay.
We created object with a default
Yeah.
constructor.
Okay.
So object is initialized now. Once it is initialized, we can call the methods on that. But if we don't instantiate, it will complain. See, I didn't initialize it. I didn't created that object. It's just like a definition of object. We didn't initialize it. So, and now I'm trying to run that method on this object, it is complaining. But once I initialize that object with a new operator, that means now this object is existing. You can run the methods in that. You can use the variables in that. You can set them, you can get them, the values from that. Don't
Okay.
confuse with,
So is it correct if we write
please go ahead, sorry.
is it correct if we write object dot and there was like below method 2 or something which says I am in default constructor again, like can we
Like you
in line 8
dot,
can we write object dot
no, you want to write what?
in line
Ob-
yeah object dot
Dot,
and there is like can you go a little below
sure.
to the place where
Here,
I'm in
you
default
want to
one.
write here?
So yeah, mobile.
No,
Yeah.
this is, I mean, yeah, you can do that. I mean, but that's not a good thing to do. I mean, uh,
My question is, can, can we use the same object to display two things?
same object to display do things. I mean, you can have multiple
Yeah.
methods in this class, right?
Yeah, like
And you are asking this thing.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what I said, like constructor are not the one which we can call. Constructor are the one which is the compiler is going to call for us. So whenever we create the object or initialize the object here, new, and we pass the parameters, so the
Okay.
constructor is smart enough to go which constructor it has to go to create this instance. So if there is no parameter, that means default constructor. If we don't write any default constructor, try to run this, see, it is complaining because we have defined the parameterized constructor. Like, let me explain you from beginning. Any class we define in Java and we don't write any constructor, the compiler is going to define a default constructor for us, which is going to be like this: public mobile this, something like this. So the constructor is going to define this thing for us. There is no parameter, nothing print out, nothing is that. So if we define a class mobile and we don't have any constructor and we try to create this object, it get created because the compiler is going to create that default constructor for us. But if we define any constructor, any parameterized constructor, which is having multiple parameters or different things, then we have to define ourselves this default constructor. Again,
Okay.
so if we are defining a class and we don't put any constructor, the compiler will create a default constructor for us. But if we are defining any constructor, any parameterized constructor, then the default constructor we have to create our own. We cannot, let me do this one more time. Let's say I have not defined any default constructor here. That means I cannot run this. I have to put some parameter. Now it won't complain because we are not using the default constructor. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So don't define any constructor. The compiler will define a constructor for you as a default constructor. If you are defining a constructor, then use that one. You cannot instantiate an object like this, because if you want to do this, you have to define the default constructor. That's your responsibility. Compiler is not going to do that for you. Understood?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So I guess this is enough for today. You guys need to read really a lot. Constructor methods. I thought I'm going to give you some overloading and overriding, but I don't think it's a good idea. Maybe you should practice these things. Define some methods, define some constructor, try to create more objects from the one class, multiple objects with one constructor, two constructor, and those kind of operations. And let me know if you have any issues. Any questions for today?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, but thanks for taking this class. It really helped me a lot in understanding more about the methods.
No problem, man. I told you, like, if you guys want to, I mean, if you guys have any questions, you can shoot me a mail. I mean, you don't have to include everybody, you just shoot it to me. I will try to answer. I don't check my mails more often when I'm in work, but when I'm outside my work, I can, I can reply you back very really.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.